Okay, so welcome Saskia to the first episode of our Gro Talks podcast. So I just wanted to talk to you today a little bit about your yoga journey and your classes at the studio. So we'll start with the first question for you today is what inspired you to get into yoga, and tell us a little bit about your journey to where you are now.
Okay, so I feel like through school I was always kind of a little bit of like an odd one out. So I would say all this like hippie stuff and everyone would be like, oh. But yeah, I was very attracted to it naturally, I think. So I was always kind of into more gentle exercise, like dance and yoga.
So
kind
not like
of
the
came.
PE sort of like
No, I hated PE at school. But yeah, I think I was just more, when we had yoga at school, I was like, why can't we just do that? So
you actually had yoga at school?
Yeah.
That's really cool, because that's quite like a new thing.
Yeah.
Because they definitely didn't have it.
No, it was only like every so often, so it would probably be like once a month because it would rotate or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of probably my first experience of yoga. And then when like YouTube was getting a bit bigger, I started doing online YouTube, and then
That's pretty cool.
But I didn't like going to school and doing PE, but I'd rather do like PE in my room, if that makes sense.
So
like
a little bit more like
I was very I wanted to do it at home.
like
so
introverted, I suppose, with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think then later on, as I kind of got into uni, that was when yoga was like.
Do you think that's because you went to London for university, so it was more accessible there?
Yeah.
Whereas down here, there's not a massive.
No.
Now it's more popular, but there's never really a massive yoga scene here. So.
And like all my friends were kind of into that, and I think we would enjoy doing it together, but also that was like part of my routine where I would go and do yoga in the morning before I went to uni, just to get me in that headspace.
You actually went to classes?
Yeah, so that was really good, but yeah.
And so would you say it was more like you were drawn to the physical aspect or the spiritual side? Because I think yoga's definitely gone down that route now.
Yeah.
People look at it more from like an aesthetic point of view.
Yeah.
And know less about sort of the spiritual side or like the history of yoga.
Well, I didn't know much about the history as such, but I definitely was more connected to it spiritually.
Yeah.
And like breath work and kind of having it set in your routine, and that's what I really liked about that kind of. Not so much the like crazy poses. Like I loved doing yin yoga. Yeah. That's what.
So much more restorative. Sort of, longer.
Yeah.
Holding the poses for longer. Things like that. Do you think that, obviously you've drawn to the spiritual side, but do you think that the physical aspect of yoga, how has that helped you?
Yeah.
Has it helped you like mobility wise, or has it helped you strength? Like what have you?
Most definitely. I think. Why I started kind of getting stronger was actually at my uni halls. We had free yoga every week.
Awesome.
And when I was doing like my flows, as I was going into like chaturanga, into downward dog, I could feel myself each week getting a little bit stronger in my shoulders. So that kind of gave me quite a lot of confidence to kind of just go and do yoga. And then people were kind of commenting outside after we'd done it, like, "Oh, you're really good," and it would give you confidence.
You more confidence to continue.
And now, like as I've kind of gone on my more fitness journey, I think that has helped with my mobility most definitely. Like stretching before going into like a heavy leg session or things like that.
And combining the two, so you've got like now you're really into your strength training. You've also got your yoga side, so how they massively complement each other.
My God,
and
definitely.
I think it's really necessary to have that mobility side to it too. Which is really good. So how would you then, like for your classes that you're going to teach at Gro, what give me a little explanation of how your teaching style basically, so everyone can kind of understand before they come to your class what your class would be like.
Well, because I'm so drawn to like yin yoga, I think I would like it to be a bit more slower, including a lot of breath work and that matching the breath with the movement. I mean, I know that you guys do that in your classes, but I think for people who are beginning as well, they perhaps don't realise that the breath is so important.
Yeah, or some people don't even realise the breath is even part of it when it's such a massive part
100%, yeah. So
that's great. So then people could come to your classes and as a total beginner.
Yeah.
And they'll learn like the basics of yoga alongside the breath work.
Yeah.
Which I think is perfect for people that obviously have never been to a class before. You'll not be totally going down the spiritual side, but you'll be sort of like introducing them each step of the way.
Definitely.
So it is just open to all levels. Really.
Yeah, completely. And I think
even people,
No.
I was just going to say, even people that have got an established practice, I think it's always good to go back and do basics. Yeah, so your beginners sort of like learning the beginners, and it's great as a teacher as well, I think, to teach that, because you go back to it as well, so you like revisit all of the basic
100%. And I think like just doing basic flows that you can take home and do yourself, because if you like, I love doing bits at home, just like 5-10 minutes at home before I've even started my day. If I can give people just like a breath work routine or just a little flow that they can take away to make them feel a little bit better, I think that
just like even 5 minutes in the morning.
It doesn't even have to be that much, but
it's just something, even just like one stretch or one pose that they can do, because you can come to a class, but then I do think that, which is great if you came to one class or two classes a week, but it is always good to have like a little practice or a routine, which sort of leads me on to my next question, which is, what is your like morning routine or evening routine? How does yoga come into that?
Okay, so usually I'll start with my evening routine. So I'll kind of get everything that I've done, and then I'll have like a shower. I'm really like, I love getting in touch with my senses, so I put like a nice like body lotion on or something, and then I'll do like an evening yin class.
So most nights you would just do like a restorative class for yourself?
Even if it's 10 minutes. I'll either do that online or just kind of go through my own flow. Then a bit of breath work. I'll probably do like a 10-minute meditation. I really like ones that have mantras in there. Where
for the morning or the evening, would you say?
The evening. I don't know why, because I feel like I'm getting into that relaxed state. And then obviously sleep, and then when I wake up, I will literally grab my phone and type in like 5-minute, 10-minute meditation on yoga.
Before you've like checked your social media?
No social media.
So important. I think it's like, just staying away from that side, checking your messages, or just going straight into
So I'll do that, shower, come back in, and then just like do a bit of makeup if I'm going out, or if I'm coming to work. And then I'll usually put like a little podcast on, or that kind of thing. But I usually try and do my yoga either in the evening or come to a class or in the morning. Or like if I'm going to the gym, my yoga will be there at the gym, and then do my gym session. And
it's so nice that you can even include it into your day. Like, yoga as a practice doesn't have to be you going into the poses. So yoga is the meditation, the breath work. So like every day you've got some kind of aspect of it. Whether that's like a couple of affirmations or mantras or breathing. So I think it is definitely a good practice people could implement.
I used to like when I was studying to be a yoga teacher, I was doing yoga every single day for like an hour, just to get my hours built up and signed off. And I do kind of miss that a little bit.
You're kind of forced into doing it. So and then once you establish that like consistent routine, it just felt amazing.
Oh, I loved it. I kind of wish I could go back to that, but I think when I start teaching, I will be in such a flow of practicing it and bringing like, I want to bring bits of like poetry or words that people can like resonate with a little bit, or in that book that I recommended to you,
the Yoga Inspired,
that had so many little like quotes and things.
It does, doesn't it? I actually read when I took it on the plane recently, and I read loads, and I was like, actually there's so many lovely things that will definitely, maybe not to everyone in the class, but one person that day that might really touch them, and that they can take from that, or maybe everybody. But I think
I love that.
So
like, you know, when you see on like Instagram or like from friends or something. Like I was speaking with Meg the other day, and she was like, so many people have these long-term goals.
Yeah.
But if you think about your life as in like little snippets, then it's so much easier. You can like focus on things.
Totally.
So
and then
much.
even like looking like, so you've got all these like massive long-term goals to have this or whatever, but then if you actually look at what you've achieved,
it's
and
like
maybe
chapters.
the last 3, exactly, like maybe 3 months, and people don't do enough of that. Is actually looking back and actually I've achieved loads of goals, but because we've got this massive one where you want the big house and you know the 4 kids and all of that stuff, but you achieve goals like every day.
Oh my god,
it's like
well, that's like, even if you do a little bit of breath work or you stretch for 5 minutes, you've done something for yourself already before anything else, before going on your phone.
So important. And do you have any like resources that you would like recommend to anyone starting their yoga journey? Like any books, any podcasts? Like for a total beginner.
Total beginner. I think you have to kind of be in that mindset of wanting to try yoga. So one of the first couple of books I ever read was The Alchemist.
Amazing book.
Or The Power of Now. And those 2 books were like, they just completely shifted my consciousness.
It's exactly the same as mine.
I don't even know how old I was. I think my mum gave me both those books.
And The Power of Now is so intense that you could like probably read that book like 70 times.
Oh my god.
Trav and I were travelling. We listened to it on a podcast we listened to it like we'd each have one ear in and we listened to it over and over again, and you'd listen to the same chapter but
you pick up different things.
I actually bought about 10 Power of Nows and had them upstairs and used to just give them out to people that I thought needed it.
That is so lush.
Help for like them.
Definitely those kind of books first of all. And then as you kind of get, if you're kind of really interested in it, like the Gita, that's amazing. That's intense, like
super intense. That's your like next step.
That's like a bit further down the line.
You'd start with The Alchemist, then The Power of Now gets a little bit more, and then go.
If you kind of want to like study it a bit more, that I really enjoyed that book.
Any like YouTube teachers that helped you?
There's a couple that do yoga called Boho Beautiful. I don't know if you've heard them. And they go on like retreats and everything, but they have this podcast called Stars and Destruct. It's really good, but because they're both yoga teachers, they kind of talk or get guests on who have gone on yoga journeys or have retreats now, or kind of basically what we're doing, kind of saying like, how did you start out? And just they talk about how powerful yoga has been for them, and I'll just be cleaning or doing like a bit of sewing or something, and I'll just stop and be like, actually like that really resonates. So that one highly recommend.
Okay, great, that's really good for people starting. I think another question I was going to ask is, I guess a lot of people coming to their first ever yoga class are going to probably feel anxious about it, because you get those like classic things like, I can't even touch my toes. That's like the thing you hear the most.
I mean, to be honest with you, that's one of my kind of goals anyway. I can't really touch my like good. Even I know that
you don't need to be able to touch your toes.
You don't. You really don't.
But it's that, I think it's like the gym as well, like coming into the studio. It is like, I don't know why it's intimidating, but I think being a beginner, anything like you do,
it's scary.
It's scary. So what would they expect? So they're walking through the door, like what to expect from your classes? Is it just totally chill? Like,
I mean,
there's no expectation.
No,
really.
I heard this really nice thing was, we're literally all human beings. So I'm a human, you're a human, there's nothing different. Just because I'm teaching you a class doesn't mean I'm any different to you. Like, I'm going to greet you like you're my friend. Always.
Exactly. And there's just no judgment. You're just going to come in and you're on your mat, and that's what you should be focusing on, is you like not worrying about. I do think though that is why the beginners class is lovely, because everybody is coming in at the same level, although people might be, have done yoga before starting again, but there is going to there's going to be like a theme in the room that everybody is there because they're starting their yoga journey. So it's actually a really lovely, I think it's been such a nice class. I want to come.
Just coming, I think just going back to basics, like when this might be a bit like unrelated, but when I went to university, my tutor on my art foundation said to me, she was like, you're going to go to uni and you're going to be bored in the first couple of months because you're going to go straight back to basics. But the amount I learned
in that time,
even though I kind of knew quite a lot, going back to that basic like structure, I learned so much. So it's definitely going to be the same for other people who, even if they have done yoga, just going back to that basic, like just syncing the breath with the movement, then I think you can just take that away in normal life.
Like just learning about your body, I think, because when you slow things down, especially in yoga, and you go through all those basics of like child's pose, cat cows, downward dogs, that like a downward dog's actually really hard. But you start to like learn, if you really are focusing on yourself and your breath and your body, you learn how your body moves,
how
which
it
is
feels.
probably different to somebody else. So like you might find in a cat cow like your back is tight, or you might find in a child's pose you can't sit back onto your heels. So like tuning in and sort of like trying to make that a little bit easier every week.
Definitely.
Well, I think it's going to be great.
Oh, I can't, honestly, I'm so excited. This has been like such a big dream for so long. Like the chapter that I'm in at the moment,
and
most
just like,
definitely.
I think the class is going to be just fantastic.
Yeah.
So finally, just a bit of a personal question. Tell me what you're not very good at. Such a hard question.
I feel like I said something earlier that I was just not good at, but oh my god, I feel like I've gone blank.
So hard.
What am I not good at?
I mean, you're just probably great at everything. It is a really hard question, I think, when you're put on the spot.
What was I saying earlier?
I think you mentioned something about not giving yourself enough credit.
Yeah, I definitely don't give myself enough credit, 100%. I think I just have that thing in my head where I'm like, this isn't, especially with my sewing. I'm like, no,
it's not good enough.
Not good enough. But I think that kind of stems to a little bit of OCD maybe, but I'm always striving. Striving for more. Definitely lots of self-criticism of not thinking I'm good enough. Do you think yoga
helps you with that?
Yes.
That like reflection where you can sort of be like, actually, no, I am good at this, but you just have to keep reminding yourself over and over and over again.
Like journaling things.
Journaling, that's another amazing practice, isn't it? Really?
It just, if I'm feeling really stuck and I'm like, oh, like I should be doing this or that, then I journal and I'm like, actually, everything's fine. I'm grateful for everything that I'm experiencing, and even if I'm not so good at something now, I probably will be in the future if I carry on with it.
Yeah, exactly. That's so good. And then finally, what do you have a question for the next person that is going to be on the podcast?
Oh.
It can be absolutely anything.
What's your goal for the next 6 months?
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And how do you think? How do you think?
It's getting juicy.
How do you think it will pan out for you?
Okay.
Pan out?
That's good. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, you know, when you say things and you question whether that.
What's your goal for the next 6 months, and how do you think that will pan out?
Great. Okay. Perfect. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been lovely talking to you, and we will obviously release when your class is going to be over the next point.
Yes. Oh,
thank you.
Thank you.